Krishnamurti said something I'd heard a million times and never fully understood, and still might not understand, but I understand it, I think, a little bit more than I used to. And it's this: the observer is the observed. God, I hear so many fucking people say this shit, and it's like, what do you mean? I, you know, I wouldn't nod along like I got it, but it sounds extremely profound. But I just never could hold it. Like I didn't understand what the fuck he meant. Even when other people would make, modern YouTube videos today and try to explain it, and I'm like, it's still not clicking. Then I studied physics, and something clicked for sure. Something clicked more. It might not have been a full click, but it clicked more. And I don't think it's because physics proved what Krishnamurti was saying, but because it gave me a concrete technical version of a structure I'd only ever encountered as abstraction. So, in quantum mechanics, there's a problem nobody has fully solved yet. When you measure a quantum system, it changes. The particle that existed in multiple states collapses into one the moment it's measured. The act of measurement participates in the outcome. Okay, so that is really mind blowing. Even as I'm saying this, you might not understand what I'm saying, but pay attention to that sentence because that's really going to bring things together. The act of measurement participates in the outcome. This is not mystical, okay? It's demonstrated experimentally, repeatedly. The measuring apparatus, the physical instrument, interacts with its measuring, and that interaction changes the result. Not consciousness, as at least that we can prove, okay? Because I like they'll have a camera measure, and it still does it. So I want to be precise here because this matters. The observer in quantum mechanics is the physical measuring device, not consciousness that we have proved or not proved yet. So again, a camera with nobody watching it produces the same effect. So consciousness, like I'm not denying it like, modern physicists, but I also haven't proved it yet. So I'm not going to say it's not happening, but I'm also not going to say it is happening. So, consciousness isn't the demonstrated variable, physical interaction is. Okay. But here's what stopped me: the measurement. Okay. Here's another sentence to really, right? So the first one, right, is the act of measurement participates in the outcome. Okay. Now, the measurement isn't separate from what's being measured. Like, what? I still have a hard time wrapping my brain around this stuff. The instrument and the thing are not two isolated entities where one neutrally records the other. They're in relation, and the relation is part of what produces the result. Krishnamurti was not making a physics claim. He was making a claim about psychological observation, about when you watch your own thoughts, the you doing the watching isn't standing outside of them. It's made of the same conditioning, the same fear, the same desire as the thoughts themselves. You can't neutrally observe your anger. The observer of the anger is also angry. The watcher and the watched are the same movement. Physics has helped me understand this more than Jiddu Krishnamurti could help me understand this. But he also said something that hit differently, once I started studying physics, and I'm so glad I did. Which is this: we never truly observe because there's always a motive behind observation. And motive distorts what we see. Like, follow me here. Like, even as I say this, it just like it sends chills in my body. Now, that is not a quantum claim. That is a claim. I don't even know if Jiddu ever said this was a claim about consciousness. He didn't say that word a lot. At least from the material that I've studied about him. I didn't hear him throwing that word around. So that's not a quantum claim. That is a claim about, I will say for the sake of the video, consciousness, but I never actually heard Jiddu say that. But about how desire and conditioning filter perception so thoroughly that we think we're seeing clearly, but that's actually already shaped by what we need to be true. So these two things, quantum measurement and Krishnamurti's observer, are not the same claim. But they have the same structure. In physics, the instrument participates in what it measures. Measurement is not neutral. In Krishnamurti, the observer participates in what it observes. Observation isn't neutral. Same structure, different domains. Physics describing matter, Krishnamurti describing consciousness. I'm not saying quantum mechanics proves Krishnamurti. It doesn't. In parentheses, yet. And I'm also not saying that Krishnamurti explains quantum. He wasn't trying to. What I'm saying is that going deep in one gave me the concrete structure to finally hold what the other was pointing at. Physics made the abstraction tangible, not by proving it, but by rhyming with it precisely enough that something landed. Side note, in really why this matters is this is what cross-domain thinking actually does. It's not about forcing two fields to say the same thing. It's not about using physics to validate philosophy or philosophy to explain physics. I disagree. I think that's the whole point. But at least in old day, because old day philosophy, you were a physicist. But now you kind of have, they're split, right? You have philosophy and physics. Where back then, philosophers were physicists. So, but anyways, it's about going deep enough into multiple domains that the structures start to illuminate each other. I'd heard Krishnamurti say the observer is the observed a million fucking times. And I had no idea what the fuck that guy meant. But physics gave me a domain where a version of that structure is technically demonstrated, measurable, reproducible. And once I had that concrete version, the abstract one became holdable for me. That's what cross-domain intuition actually produces. Not proof, not unification, just suddenly being able to hold something you couldn't hold before. The observer is the observed. My brain would just fucking, not even twist into a pretzel, it just wouldn't compute. It would just stand there like, I hear words, I don't know what the fuck you mean. But now, I think I understand it. Not because I found proof, but because physics gave me a structure concrete enough to feel what Krishnamurti was pointing at. Two different domains, two different claims, same underlying shape, and sometimes that's all you need. Not proof, just the right angle for something to finally land. And that is what physics taught me. what Krishnamurti has been trying to teach me.